Coming up on Locked On Dodgers, I'm answering your questions about Trea Turner's long-term future, Dustin May's short-term future, and a lot of other Dodger questions from our mailbag. So let's get Locked On Dodgers.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, Dodger fans. This is Locked On Dodgers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen every weekday morning. Remember, this show is free and available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube simply by searching for Locked On Dodgers. Or even better, go ahead and subscribe wherever you're watching or listening right now, and then you'll never miss a day because you know we're not going to. If this is your first time watching or listening, I am Jeff Snider. Wow, you wouldn't think the first thing I stumbled over would be my own name, but here we are. My regular co-host is Vince Samperio, but he is not with me today. It is just me flying solo. Vince and I are both lifelong Dodger fans, just like you are. We've also both spent time covering the Dodgers in the press box and the locker room, so we're not quite insiders, but we bring you the smart fans perspective on our boys in blue. Today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game starts. As you can see, if you're watching, and maybe if you can tell if you're listening, I am still on vacation in my parents' guest room in Southern California, which means I'm still podcasting from my travel equipment, my laptop, and my travel headset and everything. So I think I've gotten the audio issues resolved from the last couple days, so hopefully this audio will be nice and crisp for you. As you can probably see, I'm still recording from my laptop's camera, but it's pretty good. Mac makes pretty good quality products, so it's not too bad. So as I mentioned at the top, I am going to be answering your mailbag questions that you guys sent in about the Dodgers, and there's a lot of good stuff. Vince and I got to a lot of it the other day, and another off day for the Dodgers on Thursday gives us a chance to answer some more of these questions. So let's jump right in. I got a couple similar questions, related questions. Christian Sorensen at Catchy Name Guy, he asked, do you realistically think the Dodgers extend Trea Turner? And Brandon Johnson at BrandonJohn442 asked, who starts the most games at shortstop next year? Trea Turner, Chris Taylor, Gavin Lux, Jacob Amaya, or somebody from outside the org? What percentage chance? Oh, and then he also asked, what percentage chance is there that the Dodgers sign Aaron Judge? I don't see Aaron Judge really being, I don't know, something about him doesn't strike me as being a Dodgers type of player. I don't know. I don't personally see Aaron Judge aging really well. I think guys that big usually hit a wall at some point, and he's already old. He and Cody Bellinger were rookies the same year, but Judge went to college. Bellinger didn't, and so Judge is already a little bit older than most guys are when they're hitting free agency. And so if somebody gives him a 6 or 7 year contract, I don't think it's going to be the Dodgers. If Judge was willing to sign a short-term contract, a couple years for a lot of money, I could see the Dodgers maybe being interested, but I don't think Judge is really going to be on the radar. But going to the other part of the question from Christian and from Brandon about the Dodgers' future shortstop situation. And, Trea Turner, keeping him long-term is a hot button topic for a lot of people. Trea Turner is an excellent baseball player. He seems to love playing on the Dodgers, and he's really, really good at it. And so I definitely really want the Dodgers to keep Trea Turner. I said this last year when the Dodgers swung the trade with the Nationals. I was at least as excited about Trea Turner as I was about Max Scherzer. I think back to as far back as 2016 when the Dodgers were playing the Nationals in the postseason, and just the dread I would get when Trea Turner got on base because he's so fast, he can do so much. And he wasn't even a great player yet then, but he was already a guy who I was afraid of as an opposing fan. And so having him on our side, I love it. His defense has gotten better as this season has gone on. His speed does things, even on defense. There was the play a few weeks ago when he caught that pop-up where he had to run 120 feet or whatever to get there because they were in the shift. Nobody except Trea Turner makes that play because he was running at a speed, I think they said his sprint speed on that play was like 29 feet per second, which is almost elite speed when you're just running the bases, but actually tracking a pop fly and making a catch like that is ridiculous. So defensively he's fun to watch. Offensively, he's a great hitter, even though he's a different kind of hitter than a lot of what the Dodgers have. He gets the job done, and he's a great base runner. And I've seen some people say that they don't expect Trea to age well because speed is his main weapon, and as he gets older, the speed will go. That could be true. It's not true for everybody. Ricky Anderson was still very fast at the end of his career. He ended up playing for 23 seasons or something, and the speed, he wasn't as fast as he was when he was in his young 20s, early 20s, but he was still very fast. And so I think when you're starting from the point where Trea Turner's starting, you can lose a step and still be pretty darn fast. And so, yeah, you got to keep that in mind that he is going to get older, so he won't be quite as fast, but he can hit, and even when he loses a step, I think he'll still be a great hitter and a great base runner. And so I would love for the Dodgers to keep him. How long they keep him for is an open question. And, we saw with Corey Seager last year that sometimes all it takes is one team willing to throw a ton of money at somebody, and that's all it takes. Trea Turner's 29 years old, just turned 29 a month and a half ago. And so if he's going to get if somebody gives him an 8 or 9 year contract, yeah, it's not going to be the Dodgers and he will be gone. But I could see the Dodgers going 5 or even 6 years with Trea. He's younger than Freddie Freeman was when they gave him a 6-year deal. He's a different kind of player, obviously. But age-wise, the Dodgers are always a little bit more hesitant to get into a long contract than to get into an expensive contract. And the fact is, right now, they're in a long contract with Mookie Betts, and they're in a somewhat long contract with Freddie Freeman. So I worry that signing Trea would lock them in more than they want to be locked in. What I'm hoping is that Trea will, take a 4-year deal at, a high average annual value, and the Dodgers will go that route. I don't know, but I do think the Dodgers have a very good chance to re-sign Trea Turner simply because he loves playing there, and I would have to think. Obviously, I'm not a professional baseball player. I don't know exactly how they think, but for me, I think I would really enjoy being on a team this good and knowing I don't have to put the team on my back and carry them all the time. Sometimes I can be a role player. Sometimes I will be the one carrying them, but winning is fun. That's what it boils down to. And if you can win and get paid a lot of money, that's the best of both worlds. And I think that Trea Turner has a chance to do that with the Dodgers. And if so, I don't know if I'd expect him to take a quote-unquote hometown discount, but I think Trea is going to factor in the fact that he has really, really enjoyed playing in LA, and the Dodgers are committed to putting out a winning team every single year. Trea has played on some really good teams. He won a World Series with the Nationals. He's also played on some bad teams, and I think he knows which one is more fun, and I think he'll factor that in. Corey Seager had never played on a bad team, and so it makes sense that he chased the money, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I know chase the money has a negative connotation. I totally respect Corey Seager signing with the Rangers, and the Rangers are not a terrible team this year, but they are not a good team. They are 49-61. They're not going to make the postseason. They are, it's Corey Seager's first time playing on a bad team. Even if they're not the worst team in baseball, they're a bad team. And I don't know if he's regretting a 10-year deal, but it's definitely a new thing. Trea Turner has the advantage of having played on both kinds of teams as he's hitting free agency, and he might be a little bit more interested in going for the wins, and I wouldn't say not chasing every dollar. Every guy, they kind of have a responsibility with the players union to get as much money as they can, and I understand that. And so Trea doesn't want to sign. He's not going to give a huge hometown discount, but just as far as he's concerned, he's already made $46 million in his career. His next deal is going to be well into the 6 figures, 9 figures, whatever 100 million plus is. How many numbers is that? Nine figures. 6 figures isn't that much, but it would be well into the 9 figures. He's going to make a ton of money, and so whether it's a ton of money or 1.2 tons of money may not matter that much to him. So I like the Dodgers' chance of keeping him, and I do. If I had to guess, I would guess that he will be their starting shortstop next year. So that's my answer to both of those questions, I guess. So I've got more questions from you guys to answer when I come back. So thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen every day, and please keep it Locked On Dodgers. Hey, did you know the key to sustainable weight loss is through your liver? The liver is the body's metabolic furnace. It's responsible for flushing out harmful toxins and igniting your fat-burning metabolism. But thanks to modern diets rich in unhealthy processed foods and constant exposure to thousands of man-made and environmental toxins, most of us have overworked livers. But now it's easy to rejuvenate your liver health and reignite your metabolism thanks to Liver Health Formula by Pure Health Research. Liver Health Formula contains 8 liver-boosting super nutrients like turmeric, beet, and artichoke extract, all of which work together to wake up a sluggish liver and turn it into a toxin-flushing and fat-burning machine. No more bloated belly, no more uncomfortable digestion, no more feeling tired and low on energy all the time, and best of all, Liver Health Formula makes it easier to maintain a healthy body weight long term. As a listener of our show, you can try Liver Health Formula risk-free today and get a free bottle of CurbFit with your order. CurbFit is a safe and all-natural appetite suppressant, making it easy to say no to naughty foods. This makes the perfect complement to Liver Health Formula. Go to getliverhelp.com/MLB to learn more. Again, that's getliverhelp.com/MLB to try Liver Health Formula completely risk-free and claim your free bottle of CurbFit with your order. Go to getliverhelp.com/MLB now to get started. Okay, I am back. I want to thank you again for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen every day. And let's jump into some more questions. Let's see. Our next one that I wanted to answer comes from, well, this is another one from Christian Sorensen that's related to some other ones. He asks, what role will Dustin May fill when he comes back? And I saw somebody else, Carlos V at WebCav1 asked for an ETA on Dustin May and Blake Treinen. I will throw in Brusdar Graterol too, just because I happen to know updates on all three of those guys. The ETA on Dustin May is he is making his last rehab start on Sunday, and then if all goes well, if all goes according to plan, his next start will be with the Dodgers in the major leagues, which is really, really exciting. Something I am happy about because Dustin May is really good, and his stuff looks good in the minors. In his rehab assignment, he is getting a lot of strikeouts. He's even working on adding a changeup. He already has 4 good pitches. He's working on adding a 5th, which would just be unfair. I know changeups are kind of the white whale that a lot of pitchers chase. Clayton Kershaw's been trying to add a changeup for basically his whole career and hasn't had any success with that yet. But Dustin May, probably we're looking at probably one more Ryan Pepiot start in Kershaw's spot, maybe 2. And then, probably just one. And then Dustin May will slot into that spot in the rotation, which is really exciting. Dustin May is going to make this rotation better. It's kind of funny. We talked about the rotation is the closest thing the Dodgers have to a question mark. It's also literally the best rotation in baseball, and so it's a good question mark to have. But Dustin May will solidify that a little bit. As for the other two guys, Blake Treinen and Brusdar Graterol, I'm going to take a sip of water and then I will tell you. That's called a teaser. There it was, drink of water. Blake Treinen and Brusdar Graterol are both starting their rehab assignments today, Friday, August 12th, which, by the way, happy birthday to Julio Urias today. He turns 26 years old, born August 12th, 1996, 2 years to the day after the baseball strike started in 1994. August 12th is a dark day in my life because I was going into my senior year in high school and a baseball strike started, and most of my senior year in high school, Major League Baseball was on strike. And so my friend Justin, his birthday is August 12th. I never even celebrated his birthday. I told him, no, I don't care. It's a bad day. But now that it's Julio's birthday, it's a good day. But anyway, August 12th today is the day that Brusdar Graterol and Blake Treinen both start their rehab assignments with AAA Oklahoma City. The plan is, Graterol is a little bit shorter time frame simply because he's only been out for about a month. Treinen's been out since mid-April. He's been out for basically 4 months, and so he's going to need a little more time on his rehab assignment. So Dave Roberts said they're expecting Graterol near the end of August. So we're still looking at, most of the time available on the rehab stint. We're probably looking at least 2 weeks on rehab for Graterol and maybe 3 weeks for Treinen. Beginning of September is what they're saying for Treinen. Both of those guys really, really going to help the bullpen out. Graterol seems fired up, ready to go. He says he's feeling great. So hopefully that's the case, because if he can get back and missing bats, he is definitely a tool they can use in the bullpen. Blake Treinen, we didn't get to see much of him this year. He only pitched in 3 games before he got hurt. But last year, he was easily the Dodgers' best reliever. He had the most innings pitched of any Dodgers reliever and the second best ERA. The only better ERA was Jimmy Nelson in about 1/3 the innings. I think less than 1/3 the innings even. And so Treinen had a 1.99 ERA in 71 innings or something like that, 71 or 72 innings. Just a dominant reliever, and there's no reason to think he can't come back and be basically that guy again. His strikeout rate was awesome last year, which really we've talked about several times over the last couple of years. That was the only concern about him, was when he's not missing bats, he's not as effective because people get some bloop hits and stuff. Same thing we're seeing with Kimbrel. When he's striking guys out, he's more effective. Graterol obviously needs to strike out more guys. Kainley Jansen was more effective when he strikes out more guys. When you're a relief pitcher, the more guys you can strike out, the more effective you're going to be. And that's the version of Blake Treinen we got most of last year. So hopefully that's what we're going to get coming back, because adding Dustin May, Brusdar Graterol, and Blake Treinen in August is better than what most teams did at the trade deadline, honestly. Those are really, really good pitchers. And that doesn't even mention, Clayton Kershaw and Walker Buehler probably coming back at some point. Other guys we're going to talk about, in fact, I'll just jump right into another question that somebody asked. Let me find it. He asked about Victor Gonzalez. One person, Jennifer Torres at Coconut Girl 82, asked about Victor Gonzalez. And I can't find the person who asked, but somebody asked about Victor Gonzalez and Tommy Kainley, and basically, do we actually trust them when they come back from the injured list? And there it is. That's another Christian Sorensen question. Can we trust the likes of Kainley and Gonzalez after their long stints on the IL? And so, honestly, Victor Gonzalez, we don't really know if or when he's going to come back. I have a hard time seeing him pitching much in the big leagues this year, if at all, simply because I don't know that there's a spot for him. Tommy Kainley, kind of the same thing. We talked about this a little bit the other day, that I love Tommy Kainley. I think he's a very good pitcher, but just realistically where he's at, maybe he'll come back and he'll just dominate, and he will be a big part of the October bullpen, but it's going to be hard because there are other guys who have earned those spots, and he's not going to have much time to do it. One other related question, I guess, that I'll jump in, is from Eddie Sanchez at eSanchez122990. He asked, will we see Bobby Miller this season? And coming into the season, and even for the first part of this season, I think it was really realistic to think that we might see Bobby Miller as a Dodgers bullpen piece this late regular season and auditioning for a role on the postseason roster. But Bobby Miller has struggled a bit in Double-A this year. He's still in Double-A. I think a lot of us expected him to move up to Triple-A at some point, but he hasn't really. His last 4 starts in Double-A have been pretty bad. He's lost 3 of the 4. He's allowed 14 runs in about 16 innings, and so it's been rough lately, and his stuff is very good. We saw him in the Futures game. He looked really good. There's no question his stuff is good. And even in those 4 starts, 2 of them were real clunkers. 4 earned runs in 2 2/3 innings and 5 earned runs in 1 1/3 innings. The other 2, he went 6 innings, allowed 2 runs in one, 3 runs in the other, and in both of those he struck out 11 batters in 6 innings. And so the stuff is definitely there. I don't know, though. It doesn't seem likely to me that he will get a spot on the roster this year, simply because he's not on the 40-man roster, so they weren't going to put him on unless he kind of forced their hand. And forcing their hand, I think, would have involved earning a promotion to AAA at some point this year. And he hasn't done that, so I don't think we're going to see him. But kind of the underlying point of all of this when we're talking about the bullpen is the Dodgers have the potential to have a lot of really good bullpen pieces. We've seen, assuming Yency Almonte comes back healthy, if Evan Phillips can stay healthy, a bullpen with, Kimbrel is always going to be a question mark. If he's not effective, he's not going to be the closer in October. I said this yesterday. I really do still believe that Craig Kimbrel is going to get it figured out because his stuff is still really good. And if you picture an effective Kimbrel and then some combination of Blake Treinen, Evan Phillips, Yency Almonte, Caleb Ferguson, Brusdar Graterol, Alex Vesia, whoever else you work in there in the bullpen, plus whichever starters get bumped to the bullpen in the postseason because you only need 4 starters in a postseason rotation, there's potential to be a really, really good October pitching staff. And that is that's exciting because the offense, I think, is going to show up for sure. And it's just a matter of the pitching staff showing up and doing their job too. So, still got a couple more questions to answer, so I will be back in a minute. Thank you again for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen every day, and please continue to keep it Locked On Dodgers. BlueNile.com. If you are looking to buy a ring, whether it's an engagement ring, just a gift, it doesn't have to be a ring, any fine jewelry. If you're looking to buy jewelry for that special someone for whatever occasion, go to BlueNile.com. If it is specifically for engagement, you can actually design a custom engagement ring that's truly one of a kind. And so you want that ring to be as unique as your relationship is. BlueNile.com is awesome. I did that with my wife when I proposed to her, except I had to go through a private jeweler, and it was a hassle, and it took a long time, and it was expensive. And Blue Nile has this down so you can design your unique ring without breaking the bank. Obviously, they're selling good jewelry. It's not like it's cheap jewelry, but it's unique, and it's as affordable as it can be for the quality that you're getting. And if you don't know what you want, they have experts on hand 24/7 via phone or chat to help you find a memorable gift at every budget. So make your moment sparkle with jewelry from BlueNile.com. And going on now is the Blue Nile Anniversary Sale. Save up to 40% on classic fine jewelry pieces and 25% on engagement ring settings. Plus, every order is insured, ships free, and arrives in discreet packaging that won't give away what's inside. Shop stress-free and find your forever piece. Go to BlueNile.com today. BetOnline.net is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your betting needs. Find all your favorite sports and events at the #1 online source for odds, lines, and games. Find reviews and news of every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sports wagering information. From live in-game betting, scores, and podcasts, they have you covered. Head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to learn more about the action happening today. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, I am back with you for a couple more questions, and there's kind of an interesting question that I saw in here from, where was it? It's about Edwin Rios. Somebody asked, what's it going to be? I don't know why I can't find this question. I had it right here in front of me. But basically asking, when Joey Gallo, Kevin Pillar, and Edwin Rios are all healthy, who makes the roster? What does the roster look like? And, I'm sure I'll find it in a second and I'll know who asked that question, but it's a really good question. And honestly, I feel like, there it is, Beanstalk, Edgar Lopez 1227. What will happen when Gallo when Pillar and Rios are healthy? And the fact is, I think Joey Gallo is going to be on the roster until he proves he doesn't deserve to be. And Edwin Rios still has options available. I think I said this the other day. I expect Edwin Rios, when his rehab stint is done, to be optioned to AAA. I don't think he's coming back to the big leagues right away because right now the roster is clicking and it's doing well and it's full. Kevin Pillar, if he does come back this year, I don't think it's going to be to the big league team, which means he may not stay in the Dodger organization. And I think we did talk about this a little bit on the on the mailbag episode the other day, but I feel like the Joey Gallo angle has changed a little bit, simply because he's had a couple big hits since we last talked and did a mailbag episode. And I think, or I hope anyway, that we are starting to see the results of the work he's been putting in with the Dodgers. And if so, Joey Gallo, I expect him at this point to earn a spot on the postseason roster and be a contributor. And that's where, Kevin Pillar, he was always a plan B. When the Dodgers signed him to a minor league contract, he was a plan B. Okay, if things go wrong and we need somebody in the big leagues, Kevin Pillar can fill that role. And so he will remain that plan B until further notice, and hopefully they're not going to need a plan B. Joey Gallo is a better defensive outfielder than Pillar. He's a better hitter than Pillar. Everything about Joey Gallo is better than Pillar if Gallo is hitting. And so that's what I'm hoping for. Rios, on the other hand, I actually said at the trade deadline, I kind of expected Edwin Rios to be traded just because I don't know that. I think he's a legitimate major leaguer. I just don't know if he's a legitimate major leaguer for the Dodgers. And we'll have to see what happens in the future next year. I love Edwin Rios. I really like watching him play. But I don't know that he fits in on this team right now, which is a bummer for him. But it is, it's the nature of the game. So one last question from Mr. Morales and the Hot Steppas at Saborin Sonido. He asked, who is the biggest surprise from the talented crop of young talent this season? He says he didn't think Miguel Vargas would show up like he did in limited games. Vargas looked really good. James Outman obviously looked good for those first couple games, got exposed a little bit after. I think the experience was really good for both of them. I definitely think Miguel Vargas is a major league hitter. I think Vargas, if they can figure out where to play him defensively, I expect him to be on the Dodgers most of the year next year. I think it's good that he got that exposure this year, and if Dustin Turner got hurt again or something, or even if Max Muncy, we don't know what's going on with his hand as of right now. He had to leave the game on Wednesday. X-rays are negative, but they're just kind of crossing their fingers and hoping that it feels better today when they get to Kansas City. And if that's if he has to go on the IL, I think Vargas is the first guy up at this point. If one of those two guys is hurt, and he deserves it. And Vargas, I think, could contribute offensively even in the postseason this year if there's a spot for him on the roster. I don't think he's quite at the point where you make room for him on the roster, but if somebody's hurt and they need him, I think he can fill in, and he could be a contributor in October. And to be able to say that about any rookie, I think that is pretty clear that he is the one I've been most impressed with. Because most rookies, it's like, okay, hope we don't get exposed with him. Vargas, I think, could actually fill a role on a World Series champion team. And that's saying something for a rookie. I want to thank you guys all for sending these questions. We got a lot. We didn't necessarily get to all of them, but we're always, you don't have to wait for a mailbag episode. We don't even necessarily wait for a mailbag episode to answer these questions. If you have an interesting topic you want us to talk about, shoot it over to us anytime you want, and we will do it. That's going to do it for me today, and it'll do it for us this week. Next week, I will be back in my home office, hopefully with my camera working and my good microphone and my bobbleheads behind me and all the good stuff. But for now, thanks for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen. And now for your second listen, check out the Locked On MLB podcast. MLB expert Paul Francis Sullivan brings humor, passion, and unique perspective on every team and the biggest stories around the league. Follow the #1 daily league-wide podcast, Locked On MLB, on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get podcasts. If you're not watching or listening to Locked On Dodgers every day, we would love if you had 1 or 2 days a month to your rotation. If you have friends and family who love the Dodgers as much as you do, please tell them about the show. Maybe they'll like it too. You can follow us on Instagram and on Twitter at Locked On Dodgers. Vince is on Twitter at Vince Samperio. I'm on Twitter at Snidog, and the DMs are open in all of those places. Our phone number for voicemails or texts is 323-863-LOCK, 5625. Our email address is lockedondodgers@gmail.com. We are here every weekday morning, and we hope you'll be here with us. When you get in your car or sit on your couch, tell your smart device to play podcast Locked On Dodgers. And remember, you don't have to agree, you just have to listen. We'll talk to you on Monday.